All right, let's get started. Welcome to the Crayon Mouth podcast. Today I'm going to try to go over some of the information as far as the election fraud, or perhaps there not being any fraud in the battleground states. For some reason, it seems like battleground. Let me adjust this down just a little bit. Battleground states seem to be the problem is that the dead are having a battle staying in the ground, I guess. Well, I have some information to go over, so give me just a second. Get it ready to present right now. I just have a bunch of things that I've found on Twitter that I think need to be gone over, just for the purposes of preservation, if you will. I'm not sure if anyone's going to watch me today, but I have 2 viewers. Great. Right on. That's a good thing. Let's see. Let me start back a little bit, because there's a lot of information to cover here. I'm going to try to go over it as quickly and as concisely as possible. I've already made another video regarding this, and that's already up. That's just a little stream where I go over a thread that I found on Twitter from Cultural Husbandry. It was pretty interesting to me. But today I'm going to be going over some videos that actually show the evidence of the voter fraud, or perhaps they don't show the evidence of the voter fraud. I'm not making any conclusions here. The only conclusion that I've come up with is the GSA. The GSA is they're the only organization that can truly say what the results of this election are. Okay. This is where I want to be, right here. All right. Let's start going through it here. This first video is from James
O'Keefe. We have Raquel on tape coercing voters to vote the right way, as well as bribing these voters with gifts.
Now, you know, on here, you chose a Republican, not a Democrat, right? Can I do that? You can vote for whoever you want, but our conversation that we had, you said you were voting for Hager because you were going straight Democrat. So that way you were voting for the straight Dem.
Why does my source keep going back? That makes no sense. I'm sorry. First, this is my second attempt at a stream. For some reason, it keeps switching back to the same source. That makes no sense. Let's see. I know what I can do.
She didn't vote for who we wanted her to vote for. That right there is against the law for me to tell her, like, you
I'm going to go ahead and just delete that scene.
You're not supposed to say nothing. Look at the shawl.
I'm so tired of it coming up.
Oh, that's good. And she's going to say, man, Lotto sent me this badass shawl. You know what? Yeah. I couldn't vote for him, but you're in his area, you vote for him.
Yeah.
This is what you call flipping people.
Flipping people.
What I do in picking up the ballots when he was with me, that's illegal. I can go to jail. So I'm a little apprehensive to tell somebody, this is what I'm doing, you know what I'm saying? And again, once he works with me once, he's going to say,
I guess Trump was right. I'm sorry.
About doing shit illegal?
I'm sorry?
About doing stuff illegal?
Yeah. They all said he was full of shit.
Oh, hell no, he's not. It's true.
Yeah.
Because you're not supposed to do that.
If I have a bunch of them, I'll take
20 here, 30 here, 40
Oh, they
here.
mix it up. Not the same post office.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Talking about how she gets paid,
So I'm going to take a
fix
picture
these
of
elections
her,
up,
take a picture of the ballot,
get the
where it says
votes.
them two on there, take a picture of you in the background so they know that you are freaking there, take a picture of us all together, and then I'm going to send it to you, and you do not let anybody else know this is what I'm doing, because if I go to prison, I do not look cute in stripes, and I will hate you forever.
She'll look great in stripes. I think, personally. What's wrong with stripes? Let's go ahead and keep going on. This is something you don't need to look at. And here we have some people that, well, I'll just let the person who filmed it explain.
This lady is marking the ballots. I filmed her a half hour ago doing 6, and she's still working at it. Let's stamp it, received, and let's fill in our 6 blanks.
What
All
is she
at the
doing?
top of the tickets on each one. 1, 2, 3.
Again, this is not
4,
proof of election fraud. This is just information that people have gathered that say
5,
that it points to that conclusion.
6. And there's a security guard right there who's watching her.
Very interesting.
The cops are in on it.
It's not just that they're in on it.
Disgusting.
This is the normal procedure. All right, let's carry on. Going down memory lane here. And once again, the reason why I'm doing this is because this information is going to disappear. So I need to put it out.
Alright, my name's Juan Caro. I'm going to check a voter registration here really quick for William Bradley. I'm on the Michigan Voter Information Center. I was born in March of 1902.
This guy's checking the rumor that dead people are voting.
48207.
This is proof that dead people are registered,
48207.
but it's not proof
Alright,
that
so I'm
dead
checking
people are voting, and that's something
on the
we all have to
Michigan
keep in
Voter
mind,
Information Center.
that there's a lot of disinformation out
For
there,
William Bradley,
and we don't know
born
how
in
to
March of
evaluate it
1902.
until it's been investigated further.
Our friend is registered to vote, received his application, sent his ballot, and his ballot was received and counted. This man was born in 1902. I wonder how many more of these Joe Biden has.
All right. Carrying on, let's go up here. Sorry if the topic's a little bit dry, but it is what it is. It's information. Welcome to real journalism. This is what it looks like. It doesn't have a pretty face. And I'm not a Rhodes Scholar, but I do like looking at information. I want to make sure that the truth comes out. And for anyone that is watching or watches, again, I'll let you know, as I have in other podcasts, that I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat. I'm not for Trump. I'm not for Biden. I just want to make sure that everyone's votes are counted and that we have a fair process. That is my only intention. That's my only goal. So more voter fraud in the state of Michigan, where 1,361 people over the age of 100 voted in the election. Most appear to be dead. One woman born in 1912 applied for absentee ballot on July 20th. The ballot was sent on September 25th. Her vote was received on October 21st. She died in 1992. There could be a number of reasons why this particular incident has happened. Um, I watched Nate the Lawyer. A lot of people should be following him along with Viva Free. But what he said about this sort of thing happening is there are mistaken identity issues that take place. Sometimes people are voting with the wrong information. And sometimes that's really not anyone's fault. It could be the state sending them the incorrect information. It could be them not noticing that they're using the wrong information, or it could be that they're using a relative's information or just a dead person that they found so that they could cheat, get their way. That's what everybody wants these days, to get their way. This one's really interesting. What these people are doing is they're just trying to get a ballot. They put in the name Elizabeth. They find a random address. And this is all that they needed to do to get their ballot. And seeing this happen, you have to wonder, how can this be used in an election, and how widespread is this sort of thing? People knowing about this happening before the election, did a lot of people just send in random ballots to sow chaos? I mean, is that a possibility? I don't know. And they're going to get the result. They get their ballot. They just have to print it out, send it in. Some states have a process, such as where I live in Missouri. You actually have to get your ballot notarized before you can send it in by a notary republic. So I'm not sure how many other states have that kind of safeguard. Kind of discourage people from using mail-in ballots. I will say that if that was the intention, that worked in Missouri, and people just went in and voted on election day like it was no big deal. This guy's going crazy. I don't know what he's doing. Let's hear it.
About something.
What is going on with him?
And then
Wow. Okay.
flips off a ballot.
Yeah.
And then crumples it up.
F that ballot. All right.
That's not voter fraud. I don't know what is.
Gotta say,
I'm wondering what's going on.
he has a point. It doesn't look good when
See,
people are
that's the
flipping
thing
off a
about
ballot.
something.
Perhaps he's just upset. Not sure. This lady has an interesting tale to tell, and I'll let her say it.
Those ballots, copy them down, copy on the precinct, because they don't show up. And so I have the Baxter, Mr. Baxter, whatever, had to go to the head guy because I want to see every one of those ballots, copy them down, copy on the precinct, because they don't show up on any list. So I just grabbed one box. It's 500 names of people that are not on the register, they're not on the supplement list.
Were you in there? She was in there this morning. She said it's a
No, I've been
shit
in there all day. I just left.
And so why won't they let anybody in to view
Their
what's...
capacity. They said there's capacity. In the morning, you could just walk right in. So I trained and walked right in.
Because of COVID, you're saying capacity?
We all have masks on.
No,
We'll put our masks on.
I think it's they don't. The poll workers
They don't
don't
wanna
like us
see-
there, and they're very rude.
But
you
you're
know.
allowed legally to go. It doesn't say there's
Yeah, that's
capacity.
why we have the Supreme Court order.
Yeah,
And
well,
not to let us in the
good luck.
building?
Not to
It's
let you in
so-
the building. It's
Because
bizarre.
this building is not a
So they're letting-
The
and, you know, there's
weaponization
those
of COVID
like a few people.
against the
So
truth
I have,
seekers.
The Baxter, Mr. Baxter,
Of
whatever,
course.
had to go.
It just makes you wonder if any of it's true. Come on. Let's go. Carrying on. Now here's some more of that information. 4,788 duplicate registrations. 32,519 more registered voters than eligible voters. 2,503 dead people registered. One voter born in 1823. I suppose that anything is possible, but for the duplicate registrations, what ends up happening a lot of the time, at least in Arizona, if people were going in with their ballot, it would cancel out their mail-in registration. Since they mailed out all of these ballots, it just made a bigger mess and more chaos. And I see every time that we have chaos like this, that's an opportunity for subterfuge, and I believe that's how it's being used. Again, I don't know if any of this stuff really points to election fraud, and here's a video. Here's this guy here. Sorry if the kiddos come in. This guy's putting up those things. The reason why they said this was done was because the people outside that were trying to look in were a distraction. But again, it just doesn't look good. It looks like they're trying to hide something. I'll be honest with you. I mean, if you're trying to hide something from people that are outside your window, putting something up in front of them looks pretty good. We can't really say whether or not this is them trying to obstruct them from viewing or them trying to obstruct obnoxious people outside. I'm willing to just stay in the middle on that, because I don't know. Michigan County flips back to Trump following repair of voting software. That was very interesting. And once again, I mean, we don't have an election that's decided. It's still up in the air right now. And from what I've heard, they may be going for a tie. Biden may be looking for the tie of 269 to 269. If that were to happen, I believe the Constitutional calls for the tie being broken by the House and the Senate. And I don't know if this is exactly how the procedure goes, because I'd really have to read into it and look more. But from what I understand, it would be that Congress would pick the president, and they probably wouldn't pick Biden. They'd probably pick someone else. And of course, the Senate would pick the vice president, and I don't think the Senate would pick Trump, to be honest with you. I think the Senate would pick someone that identifies with them more. Now, this particular incident that's looping right here, this is some supposed military ballots that were found in the trash. I'm trying to look at everything objectively from both sides. This could be ballots that came from the military, or this could be the envelopes of the ballots that came in from the military. I can't see the information well enough to tell. I would need more information on that. That did come from Millie Weaver. Hey, Millie Weaver got out of jail and the charges were all dropped. Let's see. Here's something where the content has all been blocked, and you see a lot of this stuff all over Twitter, all over Facebook. You can't look at anything anymore without them saying, hey, this is disinformation. Yet, you will, if you look at Facebook, they'll say that there has been no election meddling. That's already a lie, because we've already seen that there's been fraud, even in the software that comes from, oh, here we go, Dominion, the election software system in Michigan that switched 6,000 votes from Trump to Biden is called Dominion. There are a lot of connections between Nancy Pelosi's chief of staff in Dominion and also Dianne Feinstein's husband being involved in the investment companies that are intricately tied to this. And of course, it all leads right back to Pelosi and then right back up to Clinton. It was used in 30 states, including our battleground states, where the dead battle to stay in the ground. It's Nevada, Arizona, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. All right. This claim about election fraud is disputed, so let's make sure that we watch it.
Now, Tom Fitton, he's the president of Judicial Watch. Sidney Powell, General Michael Flynn's defense attorney, former federal prosecutor, best-selling author. I want to say, first of all, thank you both for being here, and I appreciate it. So let's start with this election process. We just heard from John Solomon that the FBI indeed is being diligent, is involved, and we all hope he is exactly right. Your thoughts first about the knowledge now that the Justice Department is involved in this review of the election.
Well, I'm delighted to hear that. I think there are any number of things they need to investigate, including the likelihood that 3% of the vote total was changed in the pre-election voting ballots that were collected digitally by using the Hammer program and a software program called Scorecard. That would have amounted to a massive change in the vote that would have gone across the country and explains a lot of what we're seeing. In addition, they ran an algorithm to calculate votes they might need to come up with for Mr. Biden in specific areas. I think that explains what happened in Michigan, where the computer glitch resulted in a change of votes of about 5,500 in favor of President Trump, just in one of 47 districts. All those districts need to be checked for that same, quote, software glitch, end quote, that would change the result in Michigan dramatically. The same thing is happening in other states. We've had hundreds of thousands of ballots mysteriously appear solely for Mr. Biden, which is statistically impossible as a matter of mathematics. It can all be documented. We are putting it into materials that we will file in federal court, and we need to seek relief in multiple states to enjoin the certification of any election results.
I did cover that in a previous video, what she's talking about with what happened in Michigan and Wisconsin. Probably two events that happened within an hour of each other was when they started counting the votes the next day. There was an extreme rise in the votes that were coming in for Biden in one batch reporting, and it was very anomalous because what we usually see when mail-in ballots come in is a very shuffled pattern. But if it's all 100% for Biden, no votes for Trump, no votes for Joe Jorgensen or any of the other candidates, many candidates voting in the state, it's just very suspect that it's 100% Biden, especially when you consider that, I mean, rural areas being further out usually lean to the red, and it takes longer for batches that are coming in from rural areas to make it into the city to be counted in their final destination at the capitals. So, I mean, with that being said, the way votes are being processed, that makes no sense. Let's continue down this path. I think that this was very well said. This is a fact even bigger than everything else discussed to date regarding election fraud. A program was created with Department of Defense funding by Dennis Montgomery with the capability of changing foreign election results by up to 3%. This was used on Americans. And during the primary, we saw something used called fractional magic. Fractional magic is something that could be used to turn a person into a fraction, one piece at a time, because when you start to have all of these numbers being added up and they turn into points and percentages, these points and percentages can sift off with programs that they can sift them over to be for another candidate if that need be. There's actually a video on YouTube that explains fractional magic very well, and I think that this is something that's going to come up again pretty soon with all the information we're seeing regarding the election. Here we go. Oh, this is just a little something I did with him.
I got them ballots. I got them ballots, bitches. I got them.
That's Bill, huh?
Bitches. I got bitches. Ballots, bitches. I got them ballots. I got them ballots, bitches.
What's the real plan, Ilhan?
Harvest ballots. Bitches. I got ballot, bitches. I got them ballots. I got them ballots, bitches. I got them ballots.
Dad, you have a crown mouse.
Gotta say, Reface app has been my favorite thing for making fun of politicians.
Bitches.
And that was, of course, my daughter's famous voice, Jacky, saying I have a crayon mouth. Because here we have colorful conversations, and I have a colorful smile. All right. This was some information that came out over the weekend. Popcorn flavor options. Breaking: Michigan legislature has called a joint oversight hearing at 10 a.m. tomorrow to begin a review of Michigan's election processes. WDIV, Michigan House Speaker says GOP will launch vote counting inquiry. CBS 58, Wisconsin State Assembly Speaker directs Assembly Committee on Campaigns and Elections to use investigative powers to immediately review how the election was administered. The Morning Call, Pennsylvania. Republican leaders call on Governor Tom Wolf to launch immediate audit of election. Now, as many have said, and some won't listen to, if you were perfectly fine with Facebook and Twitter and YouTube fact-checking things, redacting them, then you should be fine with us fact-checking the votes and redacting the ones that aren't legal and aren't legitimate. I think that that's an apt comparison, and something that so many have ignored. Ooh, that's that bookmark from a tweet I had, cultural husbandry. That was a very interesting thread about the anomalies. And this was a tweet, I believe, that is no longer available. Reason was it showed some guy ripping up ballots. And so they couldn't leave that around. Once again, we are in the fascist United States where you could be censored. You could be thrown in prison for telling the truth, which they've done. Chelsea Manning, Assange, and so many others. Snowden had to move to Russia, you know. It was easier being there than here. Doesn't that say a lot? This is just discussing the glitch issues that happened in Rock County and why those glitches delayed the voting results. Oh, well, we got to look at this because it's been disputed. So let's take a look at what's been disputed. I'm going to have to zoom in here so I can read. and maybe you can too. This is an affidavit from someone who was actually a ballot counter. The affidavit, the affiant, Jesse Jacob, being first duly sworn, hereby deposes and states as follows. My name is Jesse Jacob. I am an adult citizen and resident of the state of Michigan. I have been an employee for the city of Detroit for decades. I was assigned to work in the elections department for the 2020 election. I received training from the city of Detroit and the state of Michigan regarding the election process. I worked at the election headquarters for most of September, and I started working at a satellite location for most of October 2020. Excuse me. Must be that COVIDs. I processed absentee ballot packages to be sent to voters while I worked at the election headquarters in September 2020 along with 70 to 80 other workers. I was instructed by my supervisor to adjust the mailing date of these absentee ballot packages to be dated earlier than they were actually sent. The supervisor was making announcements for all workers to engage in this practice. At the satellite location, I processed voter registrations and issued absentee ballots for people to vote in person at the location. I directly observed on a daily basis City of Detroit election workers and employees coaching and trying to coach voters to vote for Joe Biden and the Democrat Party. I witnessed these workers and employees encouraging voters to do a straight Democrat ballot. I witnessed the election workers and employees going over to the voting booths with voters in order to watch them vote and coach them for whom to vote. During the last 2 weeks while working at this satellite location, I was specifically instructed by my supervisor not to ask for a driver's license or any photo ID when a person was trying to vote. I observed a large number of people who came to the satellite location to vote in person, but they had already applied for an absentee ballot. These people were allowed to vote in person and were not required to return the mailed absentee ballot or sign an affidavit that the voter lost the mailed absentee ballot. Whenever I processed an absentee voter application or in-person registration, I was instructed to input the person's name, address, and date of birth into the Qualified Voter File QVF system. The QVF system could be accessed and edited by any election processor with the proper credentials in the state of Michigan at any time from any location with internet access. And they're all using the same codes, from what I understand. I worked at the satellite location until the polls closed on November 3rd, 2020 at 8 p.m. and properly completed the entry of all absentee ballots into the QVF by 8:30 p.m. I then reported to work at the TCF Center on November 4th, 2020 at 8:30 a.m. to process ballots. I was instructed not to validate any ballots and not to look for any deficiencies in the ballots. Wow. Okay. Oops. Okay, carrying on. Oh, here's a live voter flip. Check this out. Look at those numbers. That was. Let me start it again, just so you catch what I'm looking at here.
These are to be decided.
1,690,589.
If you come at this from a Republican perspective, I did Joe Biden's math to get him up. Donald Trump's leading here. He's leading here. He's leading here. We expect him to win here.
Remember that
That's
number.
His. This one's interesting.
1,690,000.
And these normally would be Trump states out here and Alaska. So again,
1,690,000 some change.
but if it plays out in a traditional map, that's where we're going to be. That's where we'll be as we go to the West Coast, somewhere in that ballpark. This is not exact science, but somewhere in that ballpark, looking at Pennsylvania.
There you go.
These are to be decided.
1,690,000.
Push.
1,670,000.
These are to
How
be
do
decided.
votes go down?
That would push
Mistakes,
and again,
errors.
If you come
Was
at
that an
this
error
from a
in Trump's
Republican
favor that was
perspective, I did Joe
immediately
Biden's math to
corrected,
get him up.
or an error in Biden's favor that immediately happened?
I'm going to start walking you forward. Watch the gold.
It's a different
Here
election.
comes the update from Clarity. Boom. There it is. So now the update, Andy Bashir has 674,508 votes. And look down below, Andy Bashir had 673,948. They haven't had a chance to update the ribbon because this is in split seconds we're looking now. So Andy Bashir has just gained 560 votes. That makes sense. That's what happens as more votes come in, right? Let's look at Matt Bevin. He now has 661, 675. But look down below. He did have 662, 235. At the exact same second that Andy Bashir has gone up 560 votes, Matt Bevin has gone down 560 votes.
That speaks for itself.
I read a quote from an article today from James Howard Kunstler, who writes on Lou Rockwell's site. Because this describes a little bit in detail. We've mentioned a little bit of this in the past, but it is still startling under these conditions now that it's going into the courts and will be further exposed. Then it goes... it's a short paragraph. Then there are the janky numbers in all those other states where the Dominion vote tabulation software, that's the one to look at. Dominion vote tabulation software was used. And then he goes on to give examples of this. 130,000 here, 27,000 there, etc. By the way, this is the pitch here. This is the point. By the way, the company that puts out the Dominion product is partly owned by Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein's husband, Richard Blum. One of the top executives is Nancy Pelosi's former chief of staff. And the software development was funded by the Clinton Global Initiative. Now, there's a real good group. In 2014, they've been in this business for a while.
Yeah, it's a software glitch that took, I think, about 6,000 Trump votes and put them in Biden's camp. In that one county in Michigan, well, that software had been used in 47 other counties in Michigan with such a tight margin. If that were the case across the board, that would substantially affect the outcome of the election. Certainly, who could say that that shouldn't be investigated? Plus, 30 other states were using this software like it. So, at the very least, it raises some big questions.
Indeed, it does. And I've heard Robbie Yeager disputed Ron Paul's take on that. Not necessarily because Ron Paul's wrong, but just some of the information right here. He had ownership in Avid Technologies, a media company whose program intercepted vote tally wire data for news broadcasts. But what you should keep in mind about Dominion is, as far as I've seen, it is under the umbrella of a lot of Democrat institutions, think tanks, the influence of them. So, I mean, for it being a hardware company that's supposed to be counting ballots, it really shouldn't come from a partisan position. But that is what's happening. This is interesting. Look at this. Select type of crypto algorithm to be used in application mode. System uses the AES 128 crypto algorithm to protect data on the election card. In this mode, all participants in the process use the same encryption keys. Wow, that's dumb. If one wrong person gets the encryption key, that's not going to be good. This is a video of the postal worker.
And I heard him say to the supervisor that they messed up. Yeah. They were grilling the hell out of me.
How are you feeling right now?
I'm kind of pissed.
Once again,
I feel like I just got played. And I heard him say to the supervisor that they messed up yesterday. I was like, oh, what did they mess up on? And he told the supervisor that they had postmarked one of the ballots for the 4th instead of the 3rd, because they were supposed to put them for the 3rd.
And so let me make good on that promise right away. Okay, this storm is getting crazy, right? And it's out of a lot of people's control. And so the reason they called me in is to try to harness that storm, try to reel it back in before it gets really crazy. Okay?
I understand.
Because we have senators involved, we have the Department of Justice involved, we have
Trump's lawyers team gotten a hold of me.
I'm not. Well, I am. I am trying to twist you a little bit because in that, believe it or not, your mind will kick in.
Okay.
We like to control our mind, and when we do that, we can convince ourselves of a memory. But when you're under a little bit of stress, which is what I'm doing to you purposely, your mind can be a little bit clearer. And we're going to do a different exercise, too, to make your mind a little bit clearer. Okay?
Good to go.
So, but this is all on purpose.
Roger.
I'm not scaring you, but I am scaring you.
It seems like they were trying to make me distrust y'all. And at the same time, it kind of affected, but at the same time, I was like, no, these guys have had my back since the get-go. So that's why I continued.
Do you think these federal agents have your back?
At this point, no. Hell
Do you think these federal agents are really interested in investigating fraud?
Honestly, I don't think they are.
And in fact, you heard Weisenberg tell a supervisor they were backdating the ballots to make it appear they'd been collected on November 3rd. You still stand by that?
Yeah.
Yes.
people have said this guy recanted, but he hasn't. The powers that be, the head honchos, his bosses, they're the ones who are saying that he recanted on saying that. But according to James O'Keefe and according to the man himself, that's where the story stands. This is just a lot of information for you to look at, and I suggest being objective. And no matter what side you want to win, or if you don't want any side to win, there's people who did vote, and it was important to them, and that was their will. And we just want to make sure that the truth and the facts are the things that come out of all this. So that's the information I had to present today. I should be doing this as often as possible. Luckily, right now, it doesn't look like I have any viewers, because I'm probably messing everything up. And I don't know how, if my screen is lagging or anything like that. I'll just have to go back and check it out now. But if you did join me, or if you do, Thank you for joining Crayon Mouth. I'm Keen James. And this is a podcast where we just talk about whatever happens to be going on. My colorful smile, colorful conversation. Hope you all come back. And I'll see you next time.